What is up, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time. You know the drill. Early edition here. We got 2 Crunch Times today, and we got the music still going.
Let's do it the whole show.
I kind of like it.
I do too, actually.
It's a vibe. I like it. We got 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. I got my man Stevie in the house. You've been joining us on these early shows. Good to wake up with Stevie. I know how your wife feels, and I like it.
I mean, I don't know if you would have asked her that this morning or not, but yeah, most of the time it's good. But yeah, man, I enjoy these early day baseball slates and enjoy coming on and getting to hang out with Cheese and you. And it's an interesting one, that's for sure.
Very good. Okay, I'm intrigued. Anytime I hear that, I'm like, all right, what makes it interesting? I don't play MLB DFS, so I'm excited to learn and hear. We got Dave Potts. Cheese is good in the house as well. What up, Cheese?
Hey, not much. Yeah, I agree with Stevie. It's a fun, interesting, good slate. You don't usually get 8-game daytime slates, which made for an early day. But hey, it's worth it to get a day full of baseball.
Okay, and then there's still a decent slate later today, right? Nothing to.
Oh yeah, it's another full slate. A little earlier than normal, but yeah, like 6:35 tonight.
Very cool. Are you going to be double dipping, Cheese? You coming back?
I believe so.
Woo! Yes. Love it. Okay. Exciting stuff. We got you got your plans booked for the rest of the day. Hang out with us. Let's talk about the slate a wee bit. There are no weather concerns, no expected delays, assuming that the bees behave, which, in case you missed it, we got a wonderful bee delay. I always love like random ass delays. That always, my Twitter blows up. Everyone gets a good haha. Good bee delay in Arizona yesterday. But assuming we can avoid those kinds of shenanigans, should be a kind of weather clear slate. Cheese, you want to walk me through what we do have going on?
Yeah, essentially, we do have chalk on both pitching and hitting sides. Like there's some very clear best plays on both sides, but then a pretty good amount of pretty good plays past that. So essentially, if you don't play Wheeler Ober with a twin stack, then you can get different. Wheeler Ober with a twin stack is pretty fantastic, and it's hard not to just build that. And you should build a few of those, but that leaves you a crazy ton of ways to do something different without going just super off the board. So I think that's probably what Stevie was getting to as well, with it being an interesting slate. Yeah, we have good chalk, and it's good chalk. And if it were a 4-game slate, it would be really tough to get away from it. But it's an 8-game slate, so yeah, there are things you can do. And
you don't have to get away from all of it, right? I mean, you can do
one of it. You can absolutely
both pitchers
play
in a different stack, right?
Yeah. So on the pitching side, like Wheeler is 11,000, which is a lot. We haven't seen many pitchers up at 11K, but like I think he's absolutely worth it. The Angels losing Mike Trout, like that. I mean, they were a good matchup anyway. That just makes them all that much better. And Wheeler is as consistent as they come. So I am prioritizing him. If salary is no issue, like Chris Sale is the next guy I want. It's pretty tough though to get Wheeler Sale, and Wheeler Sale like leads you to the one just super chalk build with these cheap twins and a Wensil Perez, and then you just have the same lineup as everyone. So I didn't end up on a lot of Wheeler Sale combos. Although, if you want to do any of the cheap stacks other than the twins, I do like Wheeler Sale. So keep that in your back pocket.
Okay. Yeah.
But the reason Bailey Ober is the chalk over Sale is the salary is $2,000 cheaper, and he's got the White Sox, and he's good.
Refresh my mind. Was this the guy who got absolutely shellacked and then his price tanked and then his price tanked low since then?
And he's been absolutely great, the same as ever since that one bad start, but his price has not yet recovered, and it's silly. Like
that's a little silly. Yeah,
he's racking up 25 DraftKings points regularly now, and as you would expect, he should be 9,500, but he's 7,800, so he's the chalk. And it's totally fine to play Sale instead of Wheeler and save that money. I definitely like Wheeler better, but nothing wrong with Sale and Ober as a starting point. My pivots off of those chalk guys are more the cheap stuff than the expensive stuff. Like I don't have any Chris Bassett. I'm a little worried about him. I don't have any Zach Eflin, although I think he's fine. I think you could play Eflin. I won't yell at you for that. Joe Musgrove is kind of the big mystery to me. Like, he hasn't looked like his usual self, and so I don't really trust it yet. So personally, that's the point where I'm just playing Ober chalk ahead of Musgrove. I can't use Musgrove as the pivot. I understand if you want to, it's not for me. So my pivots are cheap in that Oakland game with Quinn Priester or Ross Stripling. Ross Stripling's 6,200, and he's basically, it's kind of like Zach Wheeler, and then Bailey Ober is the poor man's Zach Wheeler, and then Ross Stripling is the poor man's Bailey Ober.
Okay.
Similar pitchers, is just the strikeouts just drop and drop. But Stripling throws strikes for 90 pitches in Oakland against Pittsburgh. That's 6,200. I'll take it. Like, you're not fishing for upside here, but you don't really need it. So I'll take my 12 to 15 from Stripling. And that's really it for me. Like, I would much rather get different on the hitting side and just play Wheeler, Sale, Ober, and Stripling where I need it.
Okay, that was a really good breakdown, Stevie. I don't know if there's anything left for you to cover here, but walk me through at least your pitcher thoughts as you're trying to take down a GPP today.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wheeler's the number one guy, but I think that Sale has a similar ceiling. He's facing the Seattle team that has the highest strikeout rate in baseball. So the $1,200 doesn't sound like a lot, but it gets you one extra big bat. So I think that, getting that one extra big bat can make your lineup a little different. Playing cash games, I think it's Wheeler, Ober. I think Ober, like, he's my highest owned pitcher by far. Like, it's not even close, just because of where he's at price wise. And then kind of what Cheese was saying, like, I don't think Joe Musgrove is right. Something is way off with him right now. I talked about how much I like the Reds on Lineup HQ today when I was doing my tags and stuff. So I'm going to stack against Musgrove instead of playing him. And then, like, on the cheaper end, I have a little bit of Quinn Priester and a little bit of Ross Stripling. I mean, honestly, just both of those offenses stink. I made sure that I didn't play them together. I don't think this is the right slate to play like double punt pitchers. So I limited like the exposure to Priester and Stripling like on separate teams, but Ober is my guy. I really like Chris Sale for tournaments. And then, I mean, Zach Wheeler is phenomenal. I just, like Cheese said, I don't have a lot of Wheeler Sale teams, and the ones that I do, I tried to make sure I didn't like stack Minnesota because that's like the chalky build. And I have before we get going even more, I have a quick weather question. Weather Edge absolutely loves the White Sox game today. I don't know if
in
that's
what
anything.
capacity. Loves it for hitters,
home runs. Yeah, like it's
thanks, Roth. We didn't already have enough Twins chalk. Thanks.
Yeah. So I just didn't know if you wanted to touch on that, but like it like when you see plus 39%, that like pops to my eyes every time.
Yeah, and it checks out. You've got temperatures in the 70s. You've got winds blowing out to basically dead center here at almost 15 miles per hour. Like, these are, I would say, almost ideal hitting conditions. So yeah, that's it is certainly a plus to bats, no doubt about it.
Would you say it's good or bad to have a pitcher with literally no strikeout ability in that particular weather?
I don't think that's ideal for the pitcher. I think that could be a little problematic.
Well, you probably shouldn't play Chris Flexen then.
Okay. Any other pitchers that you want to highlight or mention, Stevie, or you feel like you've got it covered there?
No. So I'm playing like a 20 entry build today for this early slate, and I narrowed down to 5 pitchers. Like I have nobody outside of those 5 guys I mentioned: Stripling, Priester, Ober, Sale, Wheeler, with Ober being my highest owned guy.
Okay.
5 guys leading into lunchtime. I mean, you gotta love that.
It's a sign. We got to hit up 5 guys.
I already had lunch. I made Greek bowls, like a protein bowl, like Greek with Greek chicken with some tzatziki, some feta, some cucumber, and some tomato. Always fantastic.
I'm game. My best meal when I went with the fam to Paris, and my best meal was at a 5 Guys. There was a random. I was so tired of like Parisian food. I was like, yeah, I want that 5 Guys. I want that burger right now. Hey, I'm just noticing
Cajun
how
fries.
beautiful. Oh, the fries are killer. The St. Louis Detroit game, the implied run total each at perfectly 4.5 runs, and then Tampa Bay Milwaukee both teams each hit perfectly 4.25 runs, 4.25. How pretty is that?
Isn't
right?
it perfect? It's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't see that very often. It looks gorgeous. All right, let's talk about some of the stacks, some of the bats. We've been talking about the Twins and Stevie. I presume that is the chalk build, but what else are we doing here to get different and win a tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think Minnesota is in a fantastic spot. Chris, I called him the Magic Man because he does get lucky and he throws magic tricks out on, getting out of innings sometimes. But overall, Chris Flexen stinks. So the Twins are in a fantastic spot. He's really bad against lefties, and they loaded the lineup with lefties today. So good spot for Minnesota. I really like Atlanta. I think that it's like in this weird spot of like timing with this slate where we might not get a lineup before lock, and they're facing Emerson Hancock. And we have Ober, who's going to be chalky. We have some value bats that we're going to talk about as we're breaking stuff down, but I really like Atlanta against Hancock. Hancock can't strike anybody out. He generates a lot of hard contact. I think this is a fantastic spot for Atlanta, who's kind of been struggling the last couple of days to get back on track. And then, as much as I hate to say it, I really like Cincinnati. Joe Musgrove just looks awful, not generating any strikeouts. And it's like you look into some of the advanced stuff for Musgrove and you're like, man, this stuff might actually be like an issue for him. So I think that I'm going to stay away from Musgrove and I'm going to load up on some of the stuff. Like his xERA is 7.42. I know we like Sierra and xFIP and everything, but his expected ERA is 7.42. It's one of the highest in baseball. Both of these, his X batting average and his xERA are in the bottom 5% of the league. Something's going on with him. So I like the Reds today.
Okay. Cheese, what are your thoughts here stack wise?
Yeah, pretty similar. Obviously the Twins, but that's chalk. I also love Atlanta, and because of the salary, that's not chalk. And they've been struggling because they've been facing the best pitching rotation in baseball, but it's the best pitching rotation 4 players deep right now. The 5th guy is Emerson Hancock. Like this is not the same thing as facing Bryce Miller and Luis Castillo. So yeah, love the Braves. The 2 pitchers that are struggling, Stevie mentioned the Reds against Musgrove, and I would put the Royals against Bassett in there. Like those 2 very good pitchers over the long term. Probably get back to it, but for now, there's something wrong with those guys. So that's what I'm trying to do is play against them.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Kind of Detroit. Just because Miles Mikolas is him. And Detroit's actually sneaky, like okay this year. Like this is not a terrible team. They've got some power in that lineup. So a little more towards mini stacking there, but I do have some full stacks.
Okay, very good. Let's see, Stevie, for Cincy, are you targeting left-handed hitters or everybody against Musgrove? This is a question from Michael in the YouTube chat.
Everybody. I mean, his ISO against lefties is 234. It's 273 against righties. Kind of a reverse splitsy guy throughout his career, but really just not generating any soft contact or lacking power to either side of the plate right now. Again, I just don't think Joe Musgrove is right. Like, this is one of those things where projections are still going to like Musgrove because over the long term, he's been a good pitcher. But if you look at this season, and I know it's still a small sample size, but when you got a pitcher that's struggling this much, I think you have to kind of look at this season compared to like a long-term solution. And I mean, he outside of his game against St. Louis, the first game of the year, he's really struggled. And I mean, I could pitch against St. Louis and have a good game. So
Right. Okay. And then Matt says, Cheese, do you think that Oakland bats are going to get a little more steam, end up being a little chalky, or at least more owned than the industry is currently projecting?
I do not.
You do not.
I
Okay.
think they'll be way off the board.
Okay. Very good.
We didn't really talk too much about Quinn Priester when we're talking pitchers, but still yet to be determined what kind of pitcher he's going to be. Everything that you read about him is he's a ground ball guy that's not going to generate a ton of swinging strikes. He's going to pitch more to contact. So he's not necessarily the guy you want to stack against if this is going to be a guy that's going to generate ground balls in the 60% range.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Do got to let people know. Never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. And it's just smart. It's just use your noodle. Sign up for RG Premium. You got all kinds of sports going on. You got an option for whatever level you're looking for. You could get a 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price of $469.99. That is a savings of 250 bones instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium. Bones are what the kids call dollars, or at least like 20 years ago. I don't know if they still do. You can get yourself your first month of RG Premium $40 off for a limited time as well. And then if you want a test run, dip your little toesies in the water, 3-day pass, $19.99. Check the links in the description for more info. Maryi Don Easy saying Trump is starting for Atlanta. Trump. Do we
it just makes the Brave stack a little more possible to fit. If we assume if Kelnick's in there as well, that gives you 2 cheap bats that it was almost impossible to stack the Braves even with cheap pitchers, but that actually makes it a little more reasonable.
Nice. Okay, great. Let's go around the horn. We'll do a little position by position talk. Cheese, so why don't you lead us off for catcher talk?
Hey, Trump is in the lineup. He's not. There's nothing magical about him.
Okay.
And really, the chalk is going to be the cheap catcher.
No Kelenic, it seems, for what it's worth. No
okay. Well, there you go. I'll just redo my Braves lineups. So, Christian Vasquez is the chalk, even batting 9th, just being 2,500 on the Twins on this slate, with catcher not being a fantastic position, makes him pretty obvious chalk. We don't have a Phillies lineup yet, or at least we didn't a minute ago. Real Muto would be my top play if I have salary, assuming he's in the lineup. The second would be Sal Perez if he's in the lineup. We're still waiting on a lot of things. And then I also like Danny Jansen.
Okay. Stevie, anything different?
Yeah, I mean, I had a ton of interest in Langeliers, but he's not starting. So maybe actually punting a little bit with Kyle McCann, for Oakland. He's 2,600. He's in the lineup today, and it looks like he's hitting 6th, 7th. So don't mind him as a punt catcher here at 2.6. Gonna add him to my player pool here on Lineup HQ. And as I'm rerunning some Brave stuff, because like Cheese, I like Atlanta. And Darno is someone I actually had quite a bit of ownership to now that Trump's in there. It's going to make that Atlanta stack cheaper, but I also had plenty of Kelnick as well. So I'm going to be switching out some stuff there. But JT Realmuto against Sandoval. And then, like he said, Jansen, I think, is okay. Really looking at the punt guys, I hope that we kind of see. I mean, I really wanted to play Henry Davis, but now I'm all kind of liking some Kyle McCann. So Kyle McCann, I like him a lot.
Okay. How about first base?
First base is, position where a lot of my stacks are going to be there. Kirilloff is someone that I'm playing quite a bit at first base today to not make sure I'm playing like 3 Oak or Minnesota outfielders. He's kind of probably going to end up being pretty chalky here at 4.1K, hitting leadoff against Chris Flexen. On the different side, I mean, if you really want to just kind of punt first base, Vogelbach, when he's been in there, he's hit the ball hard. He just hasn't hit a lot of home runs yet, so I don't mind him. And then at the top end, obviously, you got Matt Olson going up against Hancock. Love Atlanta today. And then probably going to play Alec Boehm more at third base today than at first base, but I do like him. But again, I like him more at third base today.
Okay, Cheese, I want your thoughts on first, but I must ask this question from Drew. He says, what about Rotvet? That's probably not how you pronounce it.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just wanted to say that name mostly. What about?
Yeah, I mean, he's totally fine because he's cheap. There's no reason to like him per se outside of a Tampa stack, but I mean, there's not really that much separating all these cheap catchers. So I wouldn't yell at you for playing him, but he certainly doesn't really make my list outside of
for playing who? Who was that?
Ben Rotvet.
Okay, just making sure I nailed it. Okay, your thoughts at first, Cheese?
So one of the good things about the Twins chalk is that they have multiple guys at multiple positions. Like you got 2 first basemen and 2 shortstops and several outfielders. I think Kirilloff and Santana kind of split up ownership. I think I like Santana better because I can use that salary. I agree. Like Stevie mentioned Vogelbach. Like, I think you can play cheap first baseman. Like I like Vogelbach. I like Austin Shenton. Um, this is a reasonable just kind of hunt for a cheap home run. And if you get that one big swing, like you've paid off the salary quickly. I do like Matt Olson. I do like Alec Boehm. But mostly cheap first base is where I'm going. Twins and or Vogelbach Shenton.
Okay. Second base.
If you have salary, I would love to get up to Ozzy Albies. But like Edward Julian is probably the chalkiest bat on the slate. He's the one Twin who fits most Twins builds. It's like I mentioned, they have guys at every position, like 2 or more, but except for second base, they have no third baseman, and they do have Julian at second, and he's hitting second, and he's hitting home runs all the time, which is good. So I think he's your super mega chalk. I still think you can play him as long as you're doing something different elsewhere. Like you don't have to just full stack the Twins. Like they're still more likely to just hit a few home runs here and there, and the winning lineup probably just picks out the right homers rather than just having a 5-man stack. So yes, give me Julian over the other mid-tier guys, even as chalk. But I do have some pivots to like Davis Schneider, Brendan Donovan, that kind of stuff. We do have a minimum salary guy, Tyler Black, Milwaukee, and that's always fine to play any minimum salary guy. Back at like AA, he had pretty decent power and a ton of speed. Like there's kind of a lot to like. Mm-hmm. So yes, for minimum salary, I think it's probably more reasonable to play him than to get up to Albies if you don't want to play Julian. And I don't think he was like originally projected in. So, I mean, he'll get plenty of ownership, but he won't be as chalky as if people have been talking about him all day.
Okay. I don't know if you saw people were asking in the chat, so maybe you were responding or maybe you were just on it.
I did not see the chat.
Just on it. Just on it before you even knew it. Good stuff. Stevie, second base, your thoughts?
Really quick. So the RG lineup for Oakland does have Lingliers. So I'm assuming he's DHing today. So I mentioned that he was not in there, the lineup I had saw, but yeah, he's batting fourth. So I'm guessing he's DHing. So I don't mind him going back to our catcher conversation. But second base, Tyler Black is like a huge prospect. He got hurt, I think, in 2022, like broke his thumb or something. And last year was like finally like a healthy season for him, and he had a huge minor league season. So, I mean, this is a guy that top 5 prospect in the Milwaukee organization, top 100 in baseball. So any of those guys that you're going to get at minimum salary have to be looked at. His teammate here, Bryce Terang, might be my favorite player to play this year. I mean, he keeps hitting, and every time he gets on base, he steals. So I love playing him, and he's not going to have any ownership today. So, and especially with like Tyler Black being minimum salary, hitting better in the lineup. So Terang is just someone I love to get different with because no one wants to play Terang at 4.6K, and he keeps putting up 20 fantasy points. Julian is the answer. I mean, he's hitting second. Chris Flexen stinks. He's in a great spot. Albies, if you're going up. The other guy that I wanted to mention, though, is Donovan for St. Louis. We haven't talked too much about the Cardinals yet. Kenta Maeda is not good. He was good a few years ago, but he's not good anymore. Both the pitchers in that St. Louis game are awful, so I don't mind any bat from that game whatsoever, Detroit or St. Louis-wise. I know the Cardinals have stunk this season, but Kenta Maeda he's just not good. So, I mean, I don't mind Donovan here. Kind of as a pivot off of Julian if you want to, get a little different with some Minnesota teams.
Okay, third base, Stevie.
Yeah, third base. I mean, we already mentioned Alec Boehm. I like Austin Riley. I kind of like some of these expensive guys. Those are going to be like my main 2 plays here. Candelario in Cincinnati teams, I think, is fine. He's like 3.6K. He's going to hit towards the bottom of the order, which kind of stinks, but I don't mind him. And then if you just want to full-on punt, if you're not paying up for these guys, I think Tyler Nevin is okay, batting second at 2.5K against like Priester. But again, like Priester kind of projects as like a ground ball guy, so I don't want to play a lot of Oakland, but Oakland's cheap, so I don't mind like fitting them in when you need some salary relief today.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts at third?
I also like spending up here, partly because there's really good cheap plays at almost every other position, like we talked. And there are cheap plays at third too. Like you can add Addison Barger in there at 2,100. Like you can punt anywhere you need. But most of the other positions, like the cheap guys, are almost preferred, or at least the mid-tier guys. So I'm playing Austin Riley and Alec Boehm as my go-to guys, and have some Machado in there as well. So pretty much everything else is going to be in a stack, unless there's a couple lineups I just needed the punt here, so that's where I have I think usually Barger, but Riley and Boehm are really the only two guys I'm going out of my way to play.
Okay, shortstop, Cheese.
So we got the two twins situation, and kind of like at first, like I just lean towards the cheaper guys. Willie Castro ahead of Carlos Correa. Like if you play Castro and Santana instead of Kirilloff and Correa, all of a sudden you've got enough to go from Ober up to Sale. That kind of thing makes a big difference. So I'm playing more Willie Castro in my twin stacks and even outside of my twin stacks. But two of my favorite plays on the whole slate are spend up to be different with Bobby Witt and Ellie De La Cruz. They're against those two struggling pitchers we've talked about, Musgrove and Bassett. And they're both like you can play them any day for any reason. Like even if those pitchers are good all of a sudden again, they can both hit a home run and steal 4 bases. So I want as much Witt and De La Cruz as I can get.
Okay. Lone Wolf DFS says Cheese is stealing my plays. He must hand build like you in the notepad. You saw his notepad.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah. Okay, shortstop, Stevie, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, Ellie De La Cruz is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate, so I like him a lot. This is a fantastic spot for Bobby Witt. Like, I don't think people realize like how bad Bassett is on like holding runners on base. So like if Witt gets on base here, he's going to run. I wouldn't be shocked if like he steals second and third in this kind of spot because Bassett is really bad at holding on runners. So it's a fantastic spot in that aspect too. Ellie De La Cruz, like Cheese said, like I think shortstop's one of the positions you want to prioritize today. If you're not playing like RC or Castro in like stacks or Correa, like you definitely want to get up to De La Cruz, Turner, or Witt, or even like I think Bichette is okay as well.
Just looking at Ellie's price tag here on DK, 6'4". Whew. He's doing things.
When you score 20 fantasy points a night, you got to be expensive.
Nice. I love it. All right, outfield, Stevie, what are we doing?
Yeah, a lot of options at outfield. Obviously, like I think Max Kepler, Kirilloff, Larnach, like all those guys are fantastic. I like Detroit outfielders today, Green and Perez. Like Perez doesn't grade out to be like this huge power guy, but he keeps hitting home runs. He's a guy that can run. So against Mikolas, I really like Perez, and I think this is a fantastic spot for him. And then Carpenter too. I mean, all these Detroit outfielders make for great plays today. And then outside of that, Nick Castellanos is starting to hit the ball. Like we know he's really good against lefties. He's been really good against lefties throughout his career, and he's finally starting to come around and hit. So like maybe just kind of hope that he found what was not working for him, and you can keep playing him here. He's like 4K, and we would have jumped at playing him at 4K against a lefty a year or 2 years ago. So I don't mind that. And then just looking at some of the stack spots, any of the Atlanta outfielders are great. I really like Cincinnati, like I mentioned multiple times. Don't mind San Diego as well in that same game. I think that you could take some shots on like Tatis. Ashcraft isn't like an overpowering righty. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a good spot to target some of these cheaper outfielders, but try to find like Detroit as like pivots off of some Minnesota bats on some teams.
Okay. Cheese, your thoughts in the outfield?
Pretty similar. I don't just feel a desperate need to spend up for these 6K type guys. I mean, sure, Acuna or Tatis or Schwarber, like whatever, it's fine. But compared to other positions and compared to pitching, this is not where I want to spend like all the way up. Totally agree on Detroit pivots off of Minnesota. I love Green and Carpenter in particular. I think we should just say that Kerry Carpenter is Matt Carpenter's kid. He's not, but I think we should just say it.
I just assumed that he was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's your new bit. As much as you like Matt.
Yeah, I do like Carey.
He
Almost
got his
as
kid in
much.
the league. I love it.
Yeah. And yeah, Wensiel Perez will be fairly popular as a salary saver, but because you've got the Twins down there, I'm not that worried about it. I think it's not crazy to play a White Sox bat. Just I don't think you need to stack them. I don't think you should, but like, especially with Eloy out of the lineup, like nobody's going to play any White Sox like ever. Like if you wanted to play Gavin Sheets or Tommy Pham, I don't think that's like the worst thing you've ever done. I shouldn't say that. I don't know everything you've ever done.
Yeah. But it's probably not the worst thing you've ever done, unless you're really good.
I also like Alec Burleson as kind of random cheap guy. Pretty much all my lineups have at least one cheap outfielder, just because I want to spend up in so many other places. And very few of them have any of the expensive guys.
Okay. Well, we want some home run picks, and then we're going to open up to some QQs. Cheese, give me a home run pick, something chalky and something sneaky.
We'll go with Riley Green and Kerry
sneaky?
Carpenter.
Which one is sneaky and which one is...
Those are both sneaky-ish.
Okay. I was
not quite sneaky, but I think playing for like 2 Detroit homers is sneaky enough. And then I think we'll also go no Twins. Twins don't count. Austin Shenton.
Okay. These all seem sneaky to me, as I know none of these players.
I mean, I think they are. Some people will play the Detroit outfielders, but not enough to really matter.
Okay. Stevie, you got a couple names for me?
Well, I hope Austin Riley hits a home run because he's like one of my highest owned players because third base is just weird today. So I'm going to say Austin Riley with the positive mojo for him to hit a home run. Pasquantino, I think, is someone I really like for a home run today. Bassett's really struggled with lefties. Pasquantino has done a fantastic job of hitting the ball hard and in the air. And hey, when you want home runs, that's kind of what you're looking for. So, and then my off the board home run today. Oh man, I don't know. I want to kind of stay in that same game. Give me Michael Massey to hit a home run at second base. I don't even know if he has a home run on the season, but he hit one yesterday. There you go. So back-to-back days.
So he's hot streak.
Yeah. Hot streak. Getting the hot streak going. I do want to open it up to questions. I have an important update on something that I told Stevie and Cheese at the start of the show, and this will buy you a little time to get some questions in. I got it in my head that my house was going to burn down from a dryer vent fire. I don't know why this got in my head. So I hired someone to come out and clean out my dryer vent, which obviously I've never done. I don't even know what the hell that means. So I bring the guy out. It's $200, which sucks. And the guy comes and looks at it. And I guess my dryer is just attached straight to the outside. And there's nothing for them to clean. So the guy just looked at it and he goes, "No, you're good." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, it's attached. You're good. There's nothing that could go wrong. It's clean. It's fine." And I was like, "Well, do I still have to pay you?" He's like, "Yeah, it's still $200. And I was kind of pissed. I was like, "Man, that sucks. That should not be the case. I'm going to call your boss and be like, that's not cool." And important update. He texted me. They're going to pretend it was canceled. They're not charging me the $200. Let's go. I am $200 richer than I would have otherwise been right now. That's good stuff, right?
That's glorious.
I know.
Yeah.
And I learned without having to pay $200 that I'm an idiot and that I never have to get my dryer vent cleaned out. Exciting stuff. It's been the highlight of my day other than hanging out with you guys. All right. Hopefully that bought some people some time because there were no questions in the chat. Here we go. Brian says, DKGPP, Stevie, does Buxton get it going today?
If there's anybody to get it going against, Chris Flexen is up at the top of that list. He's just not good. I like leaving Buxton out of stacks just because he has been struggling. But yeah, Chris Flexen stinks. Don't be afraid to play lefties or righties against Flexen. He doesn't strike anybody out.
Okay. Cheese, DKGPP, Carpenter versus Kepler.
Because they're close, take the one that's not on the Twins for ownership. So go Carpenter.
Okay. Peter Porker says, "Wow, dryer vent stories, awesome." We got time to kill, man. I don't know.
It's a good comment, honestly. Yeah.
I know. We got 5 more minutes to kill. There's no questions. So
I mean, that means we do a good job, right? Like, if there's no questions, we
that's how I
handled
feel.
everything. Like, Dean gets a ton of questions, and like we don't get a lot of questions. I think we know who's doing the job right.
Yep, I agree. It ain't Dean. Nope. Turner DH. Oh, okay. We're just talking lineup.
I scheduled him for a morning grind episode this month. The people have been wanting it. Like,
nice.
I haven't
which
even
which
cleared
people?
it with them.
Which people?
Like, the 3 people that like
yeah.
Dean.
Well, there's the one guy whose account name is We Want Dean. So he's
he's I mean that was the guy that really like he kept.
I would rather you have him on the morning grind.
Right.
We Want Dean on there. Like, find out what's up with that.
Let's see.
Is it Dean though? Like, is We Want Dean? I don't know.
It might be.
Well, that would be the thing about having him on the show. You might be able to
right. Yeah,
have them both on the same show.
Yes.
We just got the Padres lineup. Pretty normal lineup. Profar, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, Pauly. Yeah, normal lineup for San Diego.
Okay. I would like to point out, Nick says, Kevin, I had that same thing happen on a land rig I worked for natural gas. The whole trailer burned down. See? I'm not crazy. I wasn't crazy. I'm just an idiot and didn't realize there needs to be like a tube and a vent in order for you to clean it out. We got some questions in the YouTube, in the Discord. DK Cash question, Cheese, Wheeler and Veerling or Sale Machado?
In cash, I would just get to Wheeler.
Yeah.
You want to know how bad third base is? There you go.
Yeah. DK Cash, another pitcher question, and I feel like the answer to this is either way works. But Cheese, I will ask you officially: is the Ober savings over going double aces worth it in cash, and what bats make it worth the salary or don't?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wheeler Ober is the cash pairing. I mean, I have no issue with Wheeler Sale. That's fantastic. Yeah. But I think it's Wheeler Ober, and then you spend up at third. And he spent up a shortstop.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Got about 2-3 minutes until we hit that lock. You got some lunch plans, Cheese?
Yeah. It's leftover Giordano's pizza that I had shipped in from Chicago last weekend.
Did you really?
Well, yeah, I mean, where else am I going to get it? I could drive there's one in Orlando, I think, if I really wanted to drive 8 hours for it, but I can have it delivered.
Do you act? This is a real thing?
Yeah.
Hold on. What's the name of this place?
Giordano's. Famous deep dish pizza in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And you get it shipped into your home. This is, I don't think of you as a bougie person, but this is the most bougie thing I've ever heard. Although it's about pizza, which does.
I get food. Yeah. From where I need my food.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm looking this place up in Orlando now. I'm so curious.
I love it.
There's like a couple just in the Disney World area, and maybe one in Kissimmee, I think. But there's definitely one like right across the street from Disney World. That's the one I've been to.
I mean, that is just
the kids wanted to go to Disney World. I wanted to go to Giordano, so
yeah,
we made a deal.
We're taking the kids to Disney in the summer.
You're taking them?
Yeah.
All right. Holler at me. I got tips. Holler at me.
I live 25 minutes and I've been 100 times, but I'm gonna holler at you because I like you and I'm so interested to hear what you have now. I might have some tips for you. Little helpful tips. They're secret though. Got to keep them on the low. Less than a minute until lock. Wheeler and Priester with 3 too many stacks. All right. We're cool with that. Raise or card stack for the very early FanDuel slate, Stevie. Raise or cards? My initial thought was cards, so let's go with them. I mean, neither one of those offenses are great.
Okay, great. With that, any thoughts on stripling DK single entry, Cheese? It's our last question of the day.
Yeah, I think he's totally viable if you want to spin up on those bets.
Great. Steve says, hey, if the QQs dry up, and they have, feel free to end it. We've got the Swole cast with Dave Kitchen starting in 5 minutes. I love Kitchen. That guy, he is just such a positive human and he's funny as well. So I highly recommend you guys check out
Positive humans make me uncomfortable, but I'm glad people like it.
He's just like overwhelmingly like
He is.
good
He's
vibes.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. All right, we're gonna bounce on out of here. We hit the lock. We did all the things we need to do. So for Stevie, for Cheese, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.